Welcome back to Bash Bros and episode 20. Wow, 20. That's weird to say. Of Notorious Pro Wrestling. The TEW playthrough where we find out what exactly would happen if Conor McGregor opened up his own wrestling promotion. It's that time of the month again. Nope, that's not the way to do it. It's time for another pay-per-view. That's what it's time for. Yep, so it is time for another pay-per-view. It is the Fear No Man pay-per-view. And boy howdy, do we have a stacked card for it. So to continue the trend from our last pay-per-view, which was excellent, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the card and the storylines leading into these matches. The first match we're going to talk about is a quarterfinal match from the Notorious Pro Wrestling Women's Championship Tournament, and it is going to be Viper versus Tessa Blanchard. Both these women have many feuds going on in the tournament itself. Tessa has been pissing off the Joshi wrestlers, whereas Viper has been continuing her lifelong blood feud with Kaylee Ray, but neither of those things matter as these two are going head to head to see who will continue forward in the tournament. Next up is Dynasty versus Grizzled Young Vets. Dynasty officially formed the week after the Excellence pay-per-view, and Davey Boy Smith and the newly named Joe Henning bonded over their family heritage in professional wrestling and decided to team up and do their family names proud. They have been on a hot streak, defeating Timmy Force and Sugar Dunkington and the NIC, but the Grizzled Young Vets came forward to give them their first real challenge, and we will see these two teams go head to head at the pay-per-view tonight. The Kings of the North have continued to be a thorn in the side of the Cyborg Wolves ever since returning from Bonesaw's injury. They inserted themselves into the Cyborg Wolves feud with the Filthy Generation, costing them several matches. In their most recent match, due to communication error, the Filthy Generation accidentally hit Bonesaw with a super kick, leading to infighting between the two teams. So tonight, all three units will face off as we have the Cyborg Wolves versus the Filthy Generation versus the Kings of the North. James Storm was attacked backstage prior to his title match at the Excellence pay-per-view. When James Storm returned from this attack, he made it his mission to find out who was the person that assaulted him. He initially went after Doug Williams, accusing him of profiting the most from this attack. He then accused Ace Austin, who had been very vocal about how unhappy he was that James Storm was getting a title shot. And again, that turned up nothing. Nada. So it was only after his match with Ace Austin that Pentagon Jr. revealed himself to be the attacker, and claimed he did so because his master commanded it. So James Storm seeks revenge tonight against Pentagon Jr. And tonight in our main event, Doug Williams will face Chris Hero in a career versus title match where Doug is putting his 28-year career on the line. He has failed to capture the title twice from Chris, and therefore had to up the ante to guarantee a third shot at the title. And that's it, you are caught up to date with all of the storylines leading into the pay-per-view tonight. So, let's book it. And we are back, and guess what? Guess what happened again? There was another double booking, and I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm not going to rage like last time. To be fair, compared to the last time where we had two double bookings on, they were both pre-booked matches. This is nowhere near as bad. So I didn't pre-book the match that it affected was Viper versus Tessa Blanchard. Tessa is double booked at Crash, the Mexican promotion, I believe it is. I didn't pre-book that match, however, because tournament matches I tend not to pre-book for some whatever weird reason. I don't know. So that was the only one that was affected. So because it wasn't pre-booked, it's not going to affect our rating overall. It's just annoying. They did the title cards. But yes, so instead of Tessa versus Viper, we're doing the Killer Kelly versus Riho quarterfinal match instead. Other than that, there was really no issues booking the pay-per-view. I did two pre-show matches. I'll kind of get into why I booked these pre-show matches once I get into them. So let's do it. So in a decent pre-show match, we had Amir Jordan versus Chris Adonis with a frog splash. Amir Jordan got a 35 and Chris Adonis got a 28, and Amir Jordan debuted his fan favourite gimmick and got a great 34 rated overall. So the reason why Amir Jordan is a new signing, he's been sitting in catering for a couple of weeks. He is going to play a part in one of the storylines going forward. So I wanted to debut him here and kind of debut him, 2, get a grip of how good he is, and 3, debut his gimmick so we can see what we're working with. The reason I picked Chris Adonis is we're not going to use him again, so we might as well just bury him and use him to get other people over in the meantime. But that's the reason why we had this match in the pre-show. Next pre-show match then is Easton Reese versus Sugar Dunkerton. So in a match that had great heat and good wrestling, Easton Reese beat Sugar Dunkerton in 15 minutes with a powerbomb. Easton Reese got a 51 and Sugar Dunkerton got a 40. Overall rating 45. This was very good. I put Easton in there just to keep his momentum going forward for 2 reasons. One, he still has his feud with Grizzled Young Vets going on, and 2, I need to give him as much momentum as possible for his future storyline, romance storyline, bromance storyline with Doug. God, I can't. Once I actually start booking that storyline, I'll go into more detail about how that came about, but you make one joke and suddenly you have to book a romance angle. So moving on. So into the first match of our main card. In a bout that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, Dynasty defeated Grizzled Young Vets in 1443 when Joe Henning pinned Zach Gibson with a McGillicudder following an interference from Easton Reese. Davey Boy got a 47, Joe got a 46, Zach got a 54, and James got a 51. Not as good this time round from Dynasty, but still like perfectly acceptable performance from the two of them. So again, Easton Reese interfered this time to keep that feud between himself and the Grizzled Young Vets going. I think that storyline is going to go more a route of 1v1. Maybe have Easton Reese be like, look, I tried beat you with a partner, that didn't work, I'm going to face you one-on-one. So after the match, Grado returns and he comes out in a tweed jacket. He has maybe like a trilby hat, and he's got like a neck brace on, and he's like, Dynasty, he's tried to put me on the shelf, he's tried to end my career. He says, I may not be able to wrestle as much as I once could, due to what you have done to me, but I got my manager's license. So Grado announces the formation of the Grado Talent Agency, where he's going to recruit as many members as possible to kick Dynasty's ass. So this is the start then of Grado kind of falling into a more managerial role. We might have him still wrestle occasionally, but definitely going forward, he is going to be more of a manager, because he is very charismatic. So a 40 segment for that. Also, calling it like a talent agency means you can kind of just throw anyone at it, like similar to NXT, how like you have the Robert Stone brand. You don't really have a theme that you need to fit in with. So what I might do as well is kind of like the likes of Riho and Maki Ito and the Joshis, who don't speak very much English. Just put them in there for a while, and like eventually they will learn English the more they kind of cut promos or in a particular region. But you can just have them also be just in that talent agency using Grado as a mouthpiece in the meantime. Plus, I think the likes of Riho and Maki Ito, who are quite comedic, where Super Babyface would fit in well with like what is, the Grado Talent Agency, which is going to be kind of mid-card or stable with like kind of a comedic tone to it. But that's the plan anyway. Next up is a quarterfinal match in the NPW Women's Title Tournament. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Killer Kelly beat Riho in 14:36 with a super kick. I suppose kind of an upset here. Not that Killer Kelly can't wrestle, she's a great wrestler, but I think Riho's probably better known across the world now thanks to her AEW exposure. Killer Kelly got a 31 and Riho got a 41, and overall it was a 36 rated segment. Killer Kelly has not been great, I will not lie. That's her second match she's done, and it's been definitely not where I want it to be. Riho as well, 41 is not fantastic. Like, I suppose like it's kind of mid-carder status, but like this is Riho, first AEW's women's champion, and she's a Japanese wrestler, and they're usually quite OP in this, so kind of disappointing. Maybe Riho just needs a good mouthpiece, like Grado. That's all I'm saying. In a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Kings of the North defeated the Cyborg Wolves and Filthy Generation in 15-24 when Damian Corvin pinned Lycos Jr. with the red hand of Ulster. Breaking it down then, Damian Corvin got a 45, Bonesaw got a 45, Jr. got a 40, Lycos got a 49, Faith got a 43, and Lewis got a 44. With the overall segment of 43, it performed within its parameters, so I'm happy enough. I went with Kings of the North just because out of the three teams, they're definitely the most solid. Although Lycos does perform better, Junior lets the Cyborg Wolves down. And obviously, Kings of the North outperformed Filthy Generation. So I think I'm kind of setting up for Kings of the North to be the heel tag team of the tag team division. That, and also the plus of like they are Northern Irish, so they tie into that kind of us being a British and Irish wrestling company. I definitely think kind of the next big tag feud going forward is going to be Kings of the North versus Grizzled Young Vets, or Kings of the North versus the Mighty Don't Kneel. But I think that's a really good indication of like how our tag division is definitely growing. You know, you've got these three solid tag teams, you've got the likes of Dynasty, you've got Grizzled Young Vets, you've got the Mighty Don't Kneel now. We are closely approaching a point where I think we should be starting a tag team tournament for a set of tag team titles. That will definitely happen sooner rather than later. In a promo then, James Storm says he's going to whip Pentagon Jr.'s ass, and he's going to find the Master, and he's going to whip his ass as well. And sorry about your damn luck and all James Storm things. A 50 segment, which is good, expected from James Storm. Very good on the mic. So the match, in a bout with fantastic heat and great wrestling, Pentagon defeated James Storm in 1946. James Storm got a 50 and Pentagon got a 53, and they got a 52 rated match. I mean, yeah, like this is what you expect from two of our best workers in the company, both on the mic and in the ring. Just really good match. This is what main event. Our main event performers should be doing 50 plus easy. So. Great match. After the match then, Pentagon goes to sacrifice quote-unquote James, aka break his arm, but Sonico returns and fights off Pentagon. So 48 segment, which is good. 48 segment, which is very good. And this will then lead to the continuation of Pentagon versus Sonico. These two, the rivalry between these two is going to take a nice but unexpected turn, I think. But before that turn, we're going to have a fucking real big really bloody death match between the two of them, because like one of the coolest thing Pentagon does is like when he gets into like a death match, like where he rips his mask gets ripped and like it's just pissing blood, and it's just like, yeah, I think like these two are going to have hopefully a really good fight between the two of them. And in our main event, in an exceptional match, Chris Hero defeated Doug Williams in 24-46 with a roaring elbow, making it defense number 3 for Chris Hero. Doug did a 55, Hero did a 65, and they had a 63 rated match. Like, this is the third time they faced, and it's like the third time it's been over 60. These two are just fucking good. They really are. Like, don't get me wrong, Doug on the mic is not great, but he is a ring general, and Chris Hero is just overall awesome. Like, he really is. I'm kind of sad that this is probably the last time they'll face with Doug retiring now, but goddamn, 63, just awesome. And then afterwards, all the usual suspects come out to congratulate Doug on an amazing career. So the Grizzled Young Vets, Jody, Fleisch, and Conor McGregor all come out. They're all giving Doug a great send-off. Chris Hero's still in the ring. He comes across, extends his hand to Doug. Doug goes to shake it, and then Hero kicks him square in the fucking dick. Just kicks Doug right in the balls. No fucking happily ever after. No sending him off into the sunset. This is Chris Hero's NPW. Doug doesn't get a happy ending. Fuck Doug. Fuck Doug. Alright. And then obviously he hightails it as all the other face wrestlers go to absolutely murder him. And then he can taunt them from the ramp, being like, you know, why is everyone, like, you know, you're like, oh, you're all clamoring around him. He's a loser. He's not even a wrestler anymore. I'm the champion. Just real scumbag shit from Chris Hero. That's what I want here. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, imagine the heat. Like, imagine ruining someone's retirement ceremony. Especially that way. And then on top of that, again, it gives this, it's the catalyst for the McGregor Hero feud, where McGregor's just going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you are a champion. You should be representing this company as a champion, not as some dick kicking coward, you know. So yeah, I'll leave that mental image with you of Doug Williams getting kicked in the dick during his retirement ceremony and Chris Hero running away. An 80 segment, I just had Connor do this because Connor on a mic would sell the shit out of Doug Williams and like just would do justice in running down what Doug's career has been. So it would. So that's an 84 segment and the send off that Doug deserves. Not the kick in the dick. The 84 is what Doug deserves, not the kick in the dick. And that is the show. 65 rating overall. I mean, we had very few weak points. Excluding the pre-show matches, you know, we only had 1 week segment, which was the Killer Kelly versus Riho. Everything else definitely performed, and I'm super happy with that. 65 is actually our best show to date as well, I think. Previously it was 63, so we have a new bar. Make a speech. Where is Doug? I'm hugging Doug. I'm giving Doug a hug right now. So news coming out of Fear No Man is not an awful lot. So before we go on, I'll maybe take a wee look at the standings for the Women's Championship at the minute. So at the minute then, our matches remaining in the quarterfinals are Tessa Blanchard versus Viper and Maiko Satomura versus Tennille Dashwood. I could say that we could have the finals at the next pay-per-view. But that is it for another week and another pay-per-view. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe and please do leave a like. And as always, if you have any suggestions about the way some of the storylines should go or about the creative direction of the company should go, do leave a comment either on Reddit or on YouTube or wherever you happen to be seeing this. Next up will be the Fallout show for Fear No Man. And you will be back for that because we will look at some of the storylines going forward. So I will see you next time on Bash Bros.